You're okay. Sorry, we did not budget for
hair and makeup.
For hair and makeup, or AC unit either.
Even more reason to monetize.
Yeah.
But I want to welcome Wes Andrews back again, and of course our reigning other guru, Shannon Raspberry. How's it going, Shannon?
It's going fantastic. It's really great to be back.
All right.
Yeah, nice to be in person.
Yeah, no doubt. So it's good to see everybody. Just want to start by kind of level setting, kind of what is it that we're doing, this podcast for, kind of a few shows into it, and we're having a good time doing it and all of that good stuff. But I think the main thing is that we just want to highlight all the great things going on in Houston. I think Houston is the number 4 city, I think.
Should be 3 pretty soon.
Yeah, so I think they keep saying, yeah.
I think it's 3 now.
Did the new census, did they come out with it and say that it was 3?
I think it might be.
It could be. I knew it was close.
Yeah. But either way, 3 or 4, both very good spots to be on the
top 5
on the city.
Like we're
list.
fighting over it.
Yeah, right.
One spot. Hey, I'm going to Chicago next week, and I'm going to tell them, give me that 3 spot.
So the main thing is that Houston has a lot of cool things going on, and so that's what we've tried to do in the past shows, and that's what we're trying to do more and more of on future shows. And that's why last week we had 2 great guests on: Mike Acosta, the Houston Astros memorabilia guru, and of course preceding him we also had equally, I think, a Houston Astros Donald Hayes. In regards to collecting and just the memories and the stories. So if you weren't able to check those podcasts out, go ahead and check those out. They're wherever you get podcasts. It's Mike Acosta and Donald Hayes, or we're also, those particular ones were videoed as well, which is what this particular one is too. So we're trying to do more of that and have a good time. So with that, welcome formally to this episode. How you guys been?
Swell.
So it's been way too long, right?
Yeah.
Is that what they
Loving
say?
this heat. You want to talk about Houston, we got to talk about the Heat.
We do. Did the Astros bring the heat last night? Speaking of that.
They did win last night, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was out and about. I went to Tookies.
Nice.
So
the new one?
It is the new old one, yeah.
The new old one, yeah.
What's this? It's the displaced.
Yeah.
So, but it does look like they just lifted it up and put it, right at the new place.
And it's so like corporatized now, too, as well, in my opinion.
Oh,
well, because they
did
did the Tukey seafood right next door.
Yeah, and that's you went to the burger place?
I went to the burger place.
Okay, that's still a little...
Yeah, the burger place felt like it was,
it still has that
same
OG thing. But the seafood place, it looks like a Joe's Crab Shack.
I mean, it has that element to it.
Yeah.
But
Still,
I'm still a fan of the people that do Tukey's,
of course.
and I would still support them.
Yep.
But my heart is still with the original hamburger joint.
Yeah.
It is, it is. And it also was kind of an homage to, again, going back to Donald Hayes. He's on a Bon Voyage.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if, Donald, you've been to that burger place, but I would recommend adding that one to the list for sure. So it was a lot of fun.
What a great name, too. Bon Voyage. I
Bon
love it.
Voyage. So,
And I've actually been to the Tornado Burger place that he was talking about.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I'm not a big spice guy, but yeah, it was pretty good. Not overwhelming. I'm just such a wuss when it comes to anything like spicy.
Oh, okay. No likey.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same camp.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And my mom, if you're listening, I'm sorry I've let you down.
Oh, no.
She's always like, "How are you, my child? You don't like anything spicy?" It's like, well,
Aw.
it's okay, Mom. Love you.
I had my first ghost pepper hot sauce last weekend for a friend of mine's birthday party, and they like hot things. And the joke is always, Shannon shows up and the wheels come off when we try hot stuff.
A ghost pepper hot sauce. Can you describe
it was
that a little bit
hot.
more?
Well, it hurt.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't. It's like one of these things where you survive your food.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm not into, right? Like that's exactly what I tell people is like, look, I like to enjoy food. I don't want to be miserable when I eat. And that's what they look like when they eat things like that. I'm like, you look miserable.
Yeah, because we ended up watching some hot ones.
Yeah, of course. And then you get inspired.
And
right?
You get inspired to think I could do this, and then I did it, and it wasn't pleasant for about an hour.
Oh.
And then I kind of worked my way through it, and I was okay.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised. It kind of went away and didn't bother me again.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. And but it was also one of those things where it was borderline I mean, it was flavorful, but it was almost. I mean, what's the point?
What's the point? Right. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
It just wasn't fun after.
Well, I mean, food should be enjoyable and flavorful, and spice is great. It's a component of the whole matrix of food, but I think that there's a lot of see if you can do it aspect to kind of hot sauce.
It's like a dare now.
Well, yeah, and I feel like it's one of those. I don't know if it's one of those things where if you're tough, you can do it. Mm. But I don't want to tough out my food. Like that's not a thing that is high on my list.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to do that.
Taste matters.
Yeah,
it does matter. It does. It really does. And I think the sweet spot literally is if it's flavorful and hot, but not painful.
Right, painful,
and,
right?
Painful is very individual.
Yep. Yeah, my pain threshold.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with Wes on this. My pain threshold is low.
I watched the Hot Ones with Stone Cold, Steve Austin. Did you guys watch
that?
That one?
He powered through that thing. Dude, like it was no problem
at
all.
What a champ. What a champ. He was just like, yep.
Oh, yeah.
Not bad.
I'm sure he had to, but who knows? Maybe they mild him up so he can maintain his brand.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so at all. Did you see the Chili Klaus one? So this was one of the things that launched, I think, season 2, where he and Chili Klaus, this guy, I think he's from the Netherlands, if I haven't butchered that, but he's he is Sean Evans in Europe.
Sean Evans.
Isn't that the Hot Wings guy? Isn't that his name?
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Sean Evans. Yeah, the bald-headed guy that's a great interviewer,
name.
And they have a great
he's really
team.
good.
It really is quite wonderful. But Chili Klaus is this guy that does kind of the same thing. Like he hurts himself.
Oh.
Like for, I guess, ad revenue on YouTube.
Yeah, that's it.
And he got with Sean, and they ate a raw Carolina Reaper.
Oh man!
And that was watching them go through that. I felt a little bit better about what I went through, knowing that these people are professionals.
Yeah,
like I didn't suffer like that.
Yeah,
but
I've seen people cry.
Hey, when I was a kid, you know what that was called? This Hot Ones type of thing. It was called Jackass. Like that's what they did. That's where it's so funny being from that generation that grew up with that, because now there's a whole generation of kids that are my age and a little bit younger that just do stupid stuff on the internet because of them. It's their fault.
Well, you can see it. It's out there.
Yeah.
It's like what's this latest thing that's causing some consternation with just people generally? It's like the crate, like the crate challenge or something, where you put these like milk crates.
Yes.
And then you try to not be a moron and fall off and kill yourself.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Dude, it's
How
so
high do they
hard.
get?
Oh man, I've seen some stacked like at least 8 feet probably. Like huge.
What?
Like I don't think there's ever a point for another Jackass movie because you can get it for free on the internet.
Right.
I mean, it's just people doing moronic things
Yeah.
and trying to get clicks, and
Yeah.
it's very sort of it's masochistic and narcissistic at the same time.
So they
don't
stacking
get
them
it.
at the same time? that
Yeah,
they're-
so like if I could kind of build it for you, it's sort of like they build a single row pyramid of those old milk crates, the plastic flimsy milk crates, and then what they try and do is they try and walk like a Mario style up, and then they go back down. But I'm gonna tell you, it never goes well. Ever. And I've seen some dudes completely eat it, and I'm just like, I don't feel bad for you. Like you
Are they on concrete? What are they on?
grass is what I've seen. Have you seen the gender reveal one?
No, but I've seen enough gender reveal
Yeah.
disasters
Yeah, dude.
to lump that in the same group.
Oh my dude, the guy eats it right as the gender is revealed. Like the whole thing comes crashing down, and it just goes chaos because everybody's so pumped because it's a boy. I guess they wanted a boy, and you just see this blue dust, and the guy's just on the ground in pain, trying to. It should be one of the happiest moments of his life, and he's just miserable. But his whole family's just screaming and running around. It's really hilarious.
I think that's
man.
hysterical. I have to tell you, like there's this Schadenfreude, the pleasure in other people's pain. It's a very German thing.
Yeah.
$5 word.
I just don't get it. Like I know like maybe it keeps them off the street,
Right,
but
that's it.
but it's just this one. People like seeing people just take a dive, man, just blow it up.
Yep, it's always funny when it's not you.
Well, it's never funny when it's me. It hurts when it's me.
That's pretty fun. It's
Trying to
pretty
teach
funny
my
for me when
toddler
it's you,
that.
Shannon. Come
I'm
on.
trying to teach my toddler it's not funny when you do it to yourself, but it's funny when you hit me. So I'm trying to teach him.
Okay, well done.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I did think of some topics. I don't know if you guys have some topics.
I didn't really figure. I just kind of came in blind, to be honest.
Okay, no,
We're shooting from the hip. This is the shooting
honesty.
from the hip edition
All right.
of the show 713.
So, one thing.
I'm versed in a lot of things, so you can talk about anything.
Yeah, we're multi-talented.
Nice.
Steve.
Okay, well, we have you guys on for a reason. So what I wanted to share is, I don't know if you know, but September 1st, a lot of new laws go into effect here in Texas. And I thought it might be kind of fun to share those laws with the listeners and then also get both of yours points of view.
Cool.
All right. Well, the civics edition of the podcast here.
Let me. So while we're the one that I know, while I'm bringing it up, the one that I do know that we can talk about is there is the open carry now.
Okay.
You can 21 years old and up can now openly carry
Without a license.
or any training or anything like that.
Otherwise called
Wild
normal.
West. Yeah.
Like this is normal for Texas. I mean, it's probably already been happening. Like,
you just didn't know.
yeah, you just didn't know it, you know, because nobody's going to go up to you and go like, "Hey, can I see your open carry license?" Like, yeah, it doesn't.
That really only. You're right, because I think it only comes up when there's a shooting. Like, oh, did you have your license? They're not going to walk up to you and be like, "Hey, sir, you look like you might be carrying. Can I see your handgun license?" They don't do that.
No.
I've never seen it.
Well, I also thought about there's that guy that went across the lines and shot that person, and then now I think he's been being tried.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Correct. So
Yeah.
he's under 21, so obviously that's not good.
It's a different thing up there, yeah. So, you know, from what I saw, it was a lot of it was self-defense, from what I understand.
Right.
But that's why you go to trial, to prove these things.
Yeah, I don't think we should probably debate what, that particular, but I'm just thinking that, these are like, would that person be able just to walk down the street? I mean, is that where we're headed?
Well, I mean, it's the ultimate fantasy of a certain group of people is to recreate the Wild West, right? So we're going to be walking down the street, drawn down on each other. Like it's going to be one of these. Like, so I want to be the Wyatt Earp people. Apparently, they did better than most. So I'd like to be that kind. I mean, I don't open carry, but it's not for lack of, I guess, anything other than I just don't want to open carry.
Yeah,
Right.
I
have no desire.
I don't think I would feel comfortable just kind of walking around in any way, licensed or not. I think for me, it's something that I would keep disclosed anyway. Like I don't think I would openly carry on myself unless I was in the nature or something like that.
You know, I think it only draws attention to yourself from other people that open carry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of ironic. Like if you're walking down the street open carrying, the other people that are open carrying are starting to look at you.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
Like maybe I should watch this person.
Yeah.
You never know if they might go ape.
It creates a sense of fear, I think, in the general public. If you see somebody, I mean, that's not a cop walking around with a holster, some people are very put off by that. I personally don't care, but there's a lot of people that feel differently, I think.
Well, people will just like, if you're in like a lot of businesses will still have the ability to say you can't open. Like you can open carry walking down the street, but if you go into a private business, I mean, you can't do that. Like they'll say,
I'm not sure how this law
no
relates to
firearms
that.
allowed, like in schools and grocery stores and like strip clubs.
Most,
the important places.
yeah, strip
It's hard to
clubs, very
conceal
important.
in those places. It's
Yeah.
natural that would be open carry.
Yeah, but you see all the signs that you walk into a business establishment and they have, most people that don't allow you to carry in there or care about it, I guess, they have the sign that says you can't have no matter your permit status, you can't take it in here.
And does that supersede? Because I know some of these laws,
Well, yeah, this isn't like the mask mandate kind of thing that's going on right now. I mean, it's if a business says you can't do A, B, or C, it's a private business and they have the right to do that.
Yes, you could take your business elsewhere.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I was worried about, I said unsweet tea,
Excuse me, sir?
excuse me. I said unsweet, I don't know. I mean,
it's just people are just, I don't know. They it's this, again, it's very narcissistic because people are just waiting. They think they can be John Wayne and Rambo.
Yeah.
And real life doesn't really reflect the movies. I mean, statistically speaking, you're 80% more likely to blow your own foot off.
Yep.
yeah, that's what,
Stop a bad guy. But like, this is Texas, and it's a frontier mentality that survived all these years. And, it's culturally, it's a fit. Like, we can debate I think the politics of it, but culturally it's a fit for where we live here in Houston.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's just 6 million people in the greater metropolitan area. Who knows how many own guns, but a lot of them do.
Yep.
And I have, I still do not know of somebody walking down the street and just drawing down on somebody.
Never heard.
Never heard of it either. Yeah.
Yeah, just some guy.
It's just popping off.
Nothing better to do.
My big concern, though, is you see, Texans in general are pretty responsible about it, but the climate atmosphere we're living in this country is just, the temperature is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And what I worry about is this combined. It just seems like a combustible situation.
Well, I totally agree with that, Wes. I think that there's, parents punching teachers, like, who are wearing masks. Like, what's the degree of separation from that and pulling a gun on somebody?
Not very much.
Willpower.
Yep.
It's just whether or not somebody's willing to go further than you.
And anybody who's ever seen red in any situation, you don't care what you do. You're just focused on attacking, anger, expressing whatever you have on someone. And that could lead to death, which is unfortunate. Right. But that's kind of playing while we're usually responsible, there are people who just, I didn't realize I was going to do that. They just act on pure emotion. Yeah. And it ends up on the news. That's how
most of the irresponsible people are the people that have guns at home and let their kids get them.
Yeah,
like that's the majority of the irresponsible gun owners are the ones that don't secure their guns.
Right.
And then somebody ends up shooting somebody, and it's just a tragic situation.
Yeah, that's what you try and avoid, and that's why, in my opinion, if you're going to have laws like this, you need to teach. I think speaking back to Mike last week, he made such a valid point about. They want to teach younger generations about the Astros history. Mm-hmm. I think that that's important for especially this subject. If you teach proper gun safety management and how to separate your ammo from, this and that, I'm not a gun guy, but if we teach them, responsible gun ownership, anybody who wants it, I think you can mitigate a lot of these factors. And I'm totally in favor of teaching younger folks, if they're interested, definitely gun owners now, teach them responsible gun ownership.
Right.
I think that's something that no one really talks about. All you hear is we don't need guns, or we need guns, it's our rights. Yeah, sure, that's all great and grand, but why are we not talking about teaching people how to be responsible owners? And maybe that's what the class will teach you some of that, I'm sure.
Well, that's why I was just like, I always enjoyed the fact that, there was a class that needed to take it. So I didn't necessarily get in, one way or the other, mm-hmm. But that when I read here that, allow residents 21 and older to openly carry a gun in public without passing a training class or receiving a permit.
Yep.
I'm not sure exactly where that is, but
here's one of the great things that confounds me a bit. I find it amusing if it weren't kind of borderline tragic, and that is, when we think about licensing things in terms of giving people legal privileges, like nobody says that. I mean, you have to have a driver's license to drive a car, right?
Right.
I mean, cars are dangerous.
It's a weapon.
Could be. You need to be able to.
Yeah, people have definitely used it
to drive a car, and we can all joke
about
about how serious the licensing is around it. But at least it's something. And I don't see people marching in the streets protesting like driver's licensing, but we protest gun licensing, and guns are in many ways a lot more dangerous than cars. And it's like, if you're okay with the government licensing you so you can drive a car, what's the problem with a gun? Like you don't think, like, in a lot of gun advocates always say, well, it's the government, it's government control and government registration. That's how they're going to get you. Like how many enemies do you have when when you think the black helicopters are going to come get you if you license your guns?
Right.
And I'm just like, well, you license your car, right? Do the black helicopters come and take your car away? Like it's just a weird thing. I just don't understand it, and I can't talk to anybody because people get so emotional about this topic. It's very difficult to have a rational discussion around societal benefits, because as soon as you bring up societal benefits, people translate that to socialism, and nobody knows what socialism is. It's a complete joke.
Right.
Like nobody knows what that means. But it befuddles me a bit. This topic does about responsible gun ownership. I mean, you should want to be responsible. This rejection of responsibility and in this rejection of the government, it's a complete farce, because you have to have so many other mandated licenses and nobody's marching about that stuff.
Right.
But it's just about guns. And maybe that's because, driver's licenses aren't in the Constitution, but they didn't have cars then.
Yeah.
Right?
Who knows where they'd relegate. But so that's just one thing. We've got 10 others, but those are...
Well, we've got 10 others because
we
let me
better
tell you
get
something.
rolling.
yeah, right. So I do want to add on that particular law that it does not apply to anyone with a criminal record.
So is that felony only?
Great question. It just says criminal,
Probably.
so most likely. So, all right.
No one cares about misdemeanors. Like, from what I understand, you pretty much all of us have one.
Right.
Yeah, that's the way.
I don't know what
society
you're
is.
talking about, Wes.
Yeah, I don't either. But like you go into things and like people just been like, yeah, I have a misdemeanor, and they're like, no one cares. You got the job. That's pretty much how it is. Because a DUI
I have a
is
bad demeanor too, so just you hold your anger.
Sure. A DWI is a felony at some point, right? At a certain level. Or?
I think on the 3 strikes list.
Yeah, I've never had one, so
Me
I don't
neither.
know.
Yeah.
But I know that lots of people have and can continue to get very good gainful employment.
Oh
So, yeah.
Well, what's the state that said now that people with felons on their records can now vote?
Oh, probably California, Portland, or Oregon.
I think it's on the East Coast somewhere. I think
Is
it's
it?
one of the Carolinas or something.
Really?
Yeah, probably.
There's some
one
good
of our
reform
fans
there.
can correct us, but
If you know,
Let me look that up while we're talking
Yeah.
about our next subject.
Okay.
So the next one on the list, but we're not going to really talk about it, is abortion restrictions. So it's just, I know it's a hard one to just
Landmine.
like phase over, but
it's getting
there's
hot in here.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read it out, but then we're going to go on to the next one. The fetal heartbeat bill bans abortion as early as 6 weeks into pregnancy or as soon as the heartbeat is detected. The bill also allows residents to sue abortion providers believed to have broken the law. Some groups have already launched websites to report doctors once the law goes into effect. So
Yeah,
that's going to be a lot of stuff there, but
that's going to be held up in litigation, just like everything else is.
Yeah, that's gonna be a
regarding
tough one.
abortion. I mean, it's going to be in the courts. So, I'd be grain of salt.
Let's
And
let
then
them handle that.
And then there's a piggyback on that is the abortion trigger law, which reverses, if the U.S. Supreme Court reverses Roe v. Wade, which legalized abortion, then House Bill 1280 would completely outlaw abortions in Texas if overturned. The trigger law would take effect 30 days later. So that's if on September 1st they say, the Supreme Court says, Roe v. Wade is thrown out no more, and then 30 days.
But if they don't
abortions.
touch on Roe v. Wade, none of it matters.
Then, it's just, so interesting trigger effect law. Have you
yeah,
heard that?
it's like
So I guess we're skipping over that one.
So we're going to skip over that one too. And then this one, I think also too, medical marijuana. So it's another one that finally is.
Oh yeah, let's stay on that one for a while.
Yeah,
So
sure.
despite being one of the most restricted in the country, the state has expanded its medical marijuana program to include patients with all stages of cancers.
Good.
Those with post-traumatic stress disorder and people participating in research initiatives, which I've mentioned it
So
before.
what you do it on a Friday night? You just called. I'm in a research initiative here.
so.
By the way.
yeah.
I've mentioned it on the show before, but I do suffer from glaucoma, which is an eye pressure thing that I need to work with. I'm right up there with Bono. Anybody's
Nice.
ever checked, he also deals with it. Back at you, Bono.
But you don't have the glasses like he does.
No, but I do have some Coke bottles. If I was to,
okay, gotcha.
So, but marijuana for that supposedly helps out with glaucoma reduction. So I guess
Okay,
not
well, I
that
know who to talk to
participate
now.
into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm not sure. Do we want to hit on? I've got some other ones that I would like to hit on
Sure,
it, but
we can talk on that. I
but,
mean, it's a popular
Yeah,
subject.
Wes and I have opinions on pretty much anything you could ask. So.
okay. So let's because they knew the next one. Just to give you some excitement on the next one is Texas grid reform. That's the electric grid, and I know Shannon has some stuff on that.
Oh,
so
man.
I was thinking
I'll let
maybe
you
we
handle
kind of
that.
should we maybe skip to that one, or because I mean
It's
I think
up
the
to-
medical
we can
marijuana.
talk about weed.
anything. Yeah,
Let's talk about weed.
Let's talk about MJ.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is maybe we'll go to the next one.
Oh, you're just saying we're just.
Yeah, I
gonna
just
skip
feel
over.
like, is that all right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay, because I think that they've made some great reforms, and I think that that's a good one. But the Texas grid reform, which let me read that one.
Okay.
Texas new power grid reforms requires companies to pay to weatherize their own facilities and create an emergency alert system to notify Texans when outages could occur. They also prohibit wholesale electric index plans and change the dynamic of the ERCOT board so that politicians appoint the majority of the members.
Oh well, then that's going to be a resounding success.
So that's
Politicians
not
are
gonna work.
involved. Well, great. That'll work wonderful.
Can we go to the next one?
Here's
If,
all I have to-
if you
here's
guys
all-
really do want to talk about the marijuana,
No,
we
no,
can.
no,
Look,
it's fine.
I mean, we can
Yeah.
talk about anything.
Yeah.
As far as the electric grid, I will just say this: look, all of these costs they're going to get passed on to the consumer.
Oh yeah.
You know, so is with all the electricity independence that's supposed to be so awesome and has never really panned out. It's just we're just going to pay more. That's all there is to it.
Yep.
That's the bottom line on that.
Yeah,
That's just what
bottom
it
line.
is. Yeah. I mean, you ever had a guy or gal who sells solar knock on your door? I'm sure you have.
I have some solar panels are across the way.
Yeah.
So here's the funny thing about that is, I'm sure a lot of people want to help the environment
Yeah,
with
of course.
solar, but also lower their bill.
Yeah.
So it turns out she's going to cut down that big tree that you see across the way
Oh no.
because
To
it's
get the
blocking,
solar.
Because it
it's
blocks the
blocking
sunlight.
sun to the
Wow.
solar. So
Yeah, so like one of their big selling points is do you think the cost of energy is going to go down in the future? Come on. We all know it's not. And this is just another thing that's like, yeah, it's going to go up and up and up. All this cost, it's just all going to come back to me.
I think I might disagree with you on this because I think that we're going to go eventually. When you look at solar is going to actually be the future. People talk about all these other things like what they talk about. What is it? Blue hydrogen or green hydrogen?
I haven't
and
heard
all
anything about hydro in a
that. Oh
long
yeah,
time.
Yeah, I'm not
It's
huge
a
on
big
hydro, but yeah.
topic right now with blue hydrogen being actually more producing more methane as part of the process and therefore being worse for the environment than coal.
oh wow.
But the reality is I think that companies like Tesla and QuantumScape and stuff that are building batteries, like I think that the future of energy is not being reliant on the grid.
Yeah, 100%.
And so every home apartment complex out there, I think solar is going to play a huge part of that because these batteries are just going to be installed in homes. I mean, I think that's the future of Tesla. Like we talk about cars and stuff like that, but every car manufacturer in the world is electrifying their vehicles.
Chevy has the Volt. I'm pretty
No,
sure.
they discontinued the Volt, but they're electrifying their entire line.
Whoa.
Audi is, BMW is, all the European car manufacturers, all the American car manufacturers. China's leading the way in EVs. And so I think Tesla eventually is going to get into the home battery space in a way that they're currently, like they're in it already.
Yeah, they're in it already.
they're there.
But
yeah.
it's going to become, I mean, as technology progresses, it's going to become cheaper because that's what always happens with technology. It becomes
exactly.
more affordable. And so consumers are going to have batteries in their homes connected to a solar grid or like these tiny little wind turbines that sit atop your house. And eventually your reliance on the grid is going to be less and there's going to be tremendous pushback from the industry.
Yep, because they're going to lose money.
Because they're going to lose money. It's going to cost jobs to do this. When you can produce your own energy for your own home and really only use what you use, you know.
I'm totally in favor, and the only reason why I haven't gotten them yet is because the power walls are too expensive, like for what they can do.
Yeah, it's early adopter technology
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
sure.
it's kind of 1.0.
Yep.
To, yeah.
And so I've told every person who's knocked on my door because I have a new house and they love to come around new neighborhoods, and they knock on my door at least once a week. They've actually stopped, but every week we had somebody, and I told them, look, I know what you're doing, and it's great. I'm just not ready to buy. Well, why not? Because unless you can give me a power wall that's going to hold that battery a lot longer than it can right now, which I know you can't, then I will buy from you. And they're like, well, it sounds like you know your stuff. Here's my card.
Yeah, it's like you should have contacted me when I was buying the house so we could have wrapped up this solar as part of the mortgage.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
would
that
have
would've
loved to
been
have done that. Yeah. But when the power walls get better, because every time I talk to them, I say, I'm just trying to get off the grid as much as possible. So if you can make sure that I have a battery that can last me a lot longer, I'll gladly buy from you. Well, they can't offer me that because it doesn't exist.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm trying to understand with these battery things, and maybe if you have investigated, like, when the power goes out. I mean, obviously, we're in heavy times if the power goes out in regards to winter and all that. You're not going to be doing your laundry, but what can you expect to run on one of those batteries? Like, I mean, can you in a day? I guess on a good day.
Well, anything that's not gas.
I mean, could you do your laundry like regular, or is that what you're waiting for?
I know people that I don't know about solar. I've heard that the Tesla Powerwalls can last like 24 to 48 hours, depending. Which you think would be pretty good, but
Yeah, that sounds good.
yeah, but that's based on your usage. So if you just turn it all back on and you're running normal, it could be 12 hours or less. But if you just sit there and run one little thing, it's going to last a lot longer. That's just batteries in general.
Yeah, I think it's the whole power plant kind of thing. Since the freeze that we had here, and there's been a big run on generators.
Yeah, Generac is killing it.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it's a good business to be in right now, and they're way behind filling orders and things. Mm-hmm. And so with that whole industry, it depends on what you want to do, because you can have a whole home generator it's an AC. It's like a whole separate thing. Yep. Sits up on above the ground so it can't flood, and it powers your entire house. And then you just step down from there to you have these generators where you can plug an extension cord in, and it runs like 2 or 3 items in your house. Mm-hmm. You can have it directly keyed into your box, and just power, whatever. Everything. You can customize it for your house, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That's what they try and sell now.
Yeah. And so with power walls or with any home battery system, it's going to be kind of the same thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, you'll just get what you feel you need. Yep. And eventually it's going to be 100%.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah. Well, what's the price on that right now?
They're like $10,000.
$1 million.
But you can daisy chain them, right? Is that?
I don't know. I don't know that much. I think
you can, yeah.
I would assume you might be able to, but I know that one power wall is about $10,000, $11,000.
I mean, it's still too expensive. It's still early adopter technology, and people do it because they feel good about it. They don't do it because they feel it can save them money, because it can't. Like, you'll never make that $10,000 back.
Yep. It's a very emotional sell right now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It is. And in regards to the batteries too, I mean, are they good for a while? I guess we're still researching how good those batteries are going to go.
Like all these Tesla cars out there, when we don't know when these batteries are going to start to fail.
They have no idea.
What does it look like?
Yep.
They, like with the Priuses, they have these exchange programs for that sort of thing.
Really?
But we don't know that. I mean, we think there's going to be an environmental impact on batteries that are just thrown in landfills.
Yeah.
Are not properly disposed
I don't know where
of
they're
and stuff
go.
like that.
And also think about what you have to do to get the stuff to make a battery.
Well, yeah, it's really actually very hard on the environment to build an electric car because of all the rare metals and the heavy metals involved in creating these things.
But no one tells you that.
Well, it's yeah. I mean, I think that the reality is if you want to be good for the environment, don't buy a car.
Yep.
Because the environmental impact of a new car greatly outweighs whatever it is you're driving right now.
Correct. Because it's only gotten worse.
Yeah.
Like, think about what I heard was PlayStation 4s were actually worse for the environment than cars.
Oh, really? How do you come up to that?
It was something about how they had to create and build it. Like, there's so much precious metals and all this stuff. It's just like basically you have to mine all this stuff and find. It's very difficult. And they said basically the output electric that you're using, all this jazz. I don't remember the exacts. This was a few years ago. But they said PS4s are really bad for the environment. I could see it. I mean,
all this. I mean, semiconductors obviously are bringing things to a screeching halt because there's,
all of the supply chain issues with that.
Yeah. Have you seen a car lot recently? Like,
I know,
dude,
right?
it's just like blows me away. You go up 45, and it's just like growing up, those things were filled with cars.
Oh my gosh!
Now there's like 2 rows. It's like, what kind of world am I living in?
In fact, Toyota this week announced they were cutting production by 40%.
That's a lot.
Yeah, going back to the cost,
and even though demand is, it's so crazy because in this pandemic, demand is actually spiked.
Yeah.
While inventory on a whole host of things has gone down because of supply chain issues. And so prices on a wide variety of things have gone up.
Oh, yeah. Have you tried to rent a car lately?
Oh, yeah, can't find one.
Dude, impossible or absurdly expensive. My wife went to Colorado for a conference, and she was going to rent a car for a week, and it was $700 a day.
Yeah,
Is that
day? That's like your traditional Hertz, all that stuff.
Right. Is that because of a shortage, or is that because of the combination of the Uber and the Lyft?
It's a supply and demand thing.
It's a seller's market, man.
Yeah, it's a supply and demand thing. And also, the rental places will sell off cars to, private buyers and stuff. They're doing a lot of that too. But yeah, it's just supply and demand. And it's not like you can bring a new car in because people aren't giving up their cars. Although I will say, before the supply chain stuff really hit, man, they were giving it away. 72 months, 0% interest, nothing down, with qualifying credit, of course.
Right.
But like, that's unheard of. You basically the life of your loan with no interest. Come on.
Yeah.
But that's because they expect the new next year's model to come in. They have to get those off their lot, so they're going to give it to you essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I haven't taken an Uber or Lyft in a while either.
Me neither. Yeah.
So I don't know where plays out in the
I'm sure
grand scope of things.
The robot car is coming.
It's coming.
Just wait for it. I mean, you won't. In 20 years, you won't be owning cars.
Yes.
It'll be
on
it'll be on your
drive.
phone. You just hit an app and say, "I want to go here," and it'll be like Uber, but it'll be a robot.
Mm-hmm. You won't be allowed to drive. My wife says I'm crazy, but I don't think. Hopefully not in our lifetime. But I think they're going to take driving away from us at some point.
I would say
Oh, wow.
I would say driving is right next to guns in Texas culture. So good luck with that.
But I think as soon as the technology is perfected, which could take a long time, could be shorter than you think, but it's already pretty good.
Well, I think driving will be one of those things. It'll be like vinyl. It'll be one of those things that enthusiasts
Vinyl,
do.
you're talking
Like
about
people will
records?
still do it, but
Yeah.
but nobody will want to,
Right.
Because it's going to
Yeah.
be so much more expensive than just the alternative, which
Yeah.
is just getting a lift whenever you need one. You know, with the robots. You know, I mean, that's going to make everything so cheap.
Yep. And they'll basically sell it to you as it's safer. That's what they're going to do. They'll basically like, look, human error happens. Our technology is 99.8% accident proof. And they're going to go to Congress and go, we don't need to drive anymore. And they're going to be like, yeah, probably. But there's a lot of other things that need to happen. You know, think about the industry you're about to kill. You know, that's a big,
Well, I think,
big
you got to
problem.
do it.
Yeah,
in a
nobody
certain
likes to
way.
take jobs away.
Yeah,
right.
right.
I mean, nobody wants to be the
wants to
job
be that
killer.
guy.
Yeah. So that's going to happen. That's my guess. Hopefully
Well,
it's a long
it's
where-
probably going to be really good for this town.
Yeah.
Because we can't stop pouring concrete to accommodate
Oh my
all the
gosh.
private vehicles.
No, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there are at least as many cars as there are people.
Probably more.
I think it's one. Yeah, it's pretty close to 1-to-1, and like you said, probably.
Yeah. I thought it was like
Some people.
1.78 per in Houston.
Okay.
Like 1.5 at least cars per household.
Yeah.
Would not surprise me.
Not at all.
So you take all of that out of the way. You know, people spend. What's the average car go for these days?
Oh, it's a-
30,000, maybe. I mean, so now that's $30,000 that somebody has. You know, and they're not going to put that in savings.
No.
So I mean, it's like.
And then you buy the car, you drive it off the lot, and it's only worth $20,000. So you lose all that depreciation right off the bat.
But I'm just wondering if that's again a spike of demand in other places. You know, housing. Obviously, we're seeing that in Texas and the nutsness of that. But
It's wild.
you know, inflation. I know that's. But I know.
No,
Too
no.
far
I mean,
into that,
it's like
so-
6% now.
Yeah.
Like it's nuts.
Yeah,
it's
getting up
absolutely
there.
nuts, and it's causing everything to go up in price. Like food prices, car prices, housing prices, everything's up. You know, and
Yeah.
that's just the way. That's
It was
the
going
way
to
of the
happen
world,
eventually.
man.
That was going to happen eventually. I'm hoping for not hyper inflation, like all at once.
Well, it's not. This is not going to be Weimar Germany,
Yeah, hope
right?
not.
I mean, we're not going to have wheelbarrows full of cash going on because the market. I mean, the Fed's involved and stuff. So
Yeah. Eventually, though, they got to stop printing money.
that's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen, but
Yeah,
they
we
have
should
to.
probably pause it there on that. But interesting stuff. So the next one that is on the list we can talk about is critical race theory.
Oh my Lord, have
Can we go to
mercy.
Can we go to the next one?
So again, I just want to read them out just so everybody's educated on the fact that this law is going into effect September 1st. Teachers will now be limited on how they discuss certain historical events, race and racism in the classroom. The law bans discussion over quote unquote critical race theory and the idea that some people are quote inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive, whether consciously or unconsciously. So that is a law going into effect. It's like-
Yeah, this whole thing is much ado about nothing. I mean, the fact that teachers have been regulated on what they can teach is essentially been determined by school boards for
Years.
for generations. Yeah. I think that this is more of an existential conversation than it is any particular thing. I mean, school is very much I mean, people talk about indoctrination, but that's what school is.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. I mean, you've essentially removed all critical thinking from schools. I mean, there are some states that actually ban critical thinking from public schools.
It's terrible.
You get rid of civics class. Civics is no longer a thing. Yeah. Nobody teaches philosophy or anything about how to think. They just teach what to think. Yeah. And that hasn't changed. I mean, when I was in high school, I graduated in 1990, right? The most political class I took in all of my high school years was history. Mm-hmm. It's a story of who we are. It's always taught through a lens. Always taught through a lens.
Yeah.
Is the lens changing? Probably. Are people freaking out about it? Sounds like it.
Yeah.
But it's you know, I mean, history is one of the most political subjects you can ever teach, period.
Well, it's the basis of politics, really.
I mean, just read 1984 is the greatest history book ever written in my mind.
Let's hope it doesn't come true.
Well, we're living in 1984.
We are.
does seem to mirror it sometimes.
At times, you definitely
It's
look at
like,
some things and you're
whoa.
like, wow,
Yep.
Orwell had it right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's sad to say. I mean, really, it's sad to say that, but there's so many things, the Big Brother aspect. I mean, it's crazy.
The double speak and, love means hate, war means peace. I mean, it's like opposite Tuesday around
Freedom
here.
is slavery. It's like you're living on the upside down.
Yeah. So one of the things that I find interesting about the people that push back against critical race theory is that nobody can actually define what it is.
Not even the people that said they created it.
I don't even think that. Yeah, I don't even think the people that said there is this thing called critical race theory. I don't think it's well defined. That basically the idea. My understanding is that there are groups of people that are, this idea of equality versus equity. And there are people that are born that into a culture and a geography that just doesn't have the same opportunity as other places around the world. And I think that's objectively true.
Objectively true.
Right? Mm-hmm. Now, you can say, I mean, there are, I think it was a school board in Georgia. Maybe our listeners can correct me on this, but they actually came out and they approved a textbook that referred to the triangle slave trade as African American migration to the United States. Like who does that? Like it's ridiculous to even think that that's migration. Like they're not coming willfully.
Yeah, no one asked for that.
I mean, and is that a scandalous observation? Like, why is that scandalous to go like, yeah, they were slaves, man.
Yeah,
they were brought here against their will to do labor for the South. I mean, that's just the way it was. And then in the North, too, I don't want to just, I mean, slavery is a complicated subject, and we're not going to get into all the nuance of it here today for sure.
Right.
But
you can't.
Some of this pushback is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. It's, I had a really good point I was going to make, but, the way I feel about it, I graduated in 2005, so 15 years after you did. And I will say, at that time, government was very political. When I took government, it was super political. Of course it was. George Bush was president, all that jazz.
It was in 1992.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. But like history was less political than government. It kind of makes sense. But to your point on like slavery and things of that nature, I don't think you can't teach it. You need to teach it because you learn from that. And if we just sort of erase that and start calling it something it's not, it turns into what happens to the kids that think that that's migration and not slavery. Just call a spade, but know that it was a bad thing and that we should not repeat these mistakes and that doesn't fly anymore. Because if you change it, these kids are going to grow up thinking, oh yeah, they just moved here. That's not true. They did not want to come here. But,
I mean, it is complicated, but part of it is also this sort of creation of patriots that is a common thread in public education, where the idea is that we need to teach people about what it means to love the United States and all that sort of stuff.
Nationalism.
Nationalism is the thing it's not new. Yeah. It's been around for a long, long time, and it's not always a good thing. No. But it's not. I don't want my listeners or our listeners to think that I'm suggesting that people hate the U.S. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying if you want to have any sort of a objective discussion about the history of our country, it's not all great. I mean, there's going to be some bad stuff in there. There's going to be some good stuff in there. There's going to be some great stuff in there.
Sure.
Right. And you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but you gotta be able to step back and give it like a third party disinterested view. Like you got to look at history like an alien.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a great way to say it. Like, you need to understand that you got to take yourself out of it. And because history, politics, whatever, it's going to evoke a bunch of emotion. But when you can step back and take that emotion and keep it at bay and talk things objectively, like this did happen, I don't have to like it, but it happened. And you can't ignore the things that actually happened. And that's a problem I sort of have with CRT is like, they say that what you know is not true. And I think in some aspects that might be true, but I think you need to leave the past in the past and learn from it and make sure we don't go down that road again. And I think that's the most important part of history.
I wonder sometimes if this particular law is kind of more about, how two sides see January 6th, 2021.
I'm sure that has a lot to do with it.
Let's just throw just another possibility that maybe, things weren't as bad as the history books say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's always, CRT is today's boogeyman.
Right now, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always this external thing that you got to point your finger at to be the enemy of A, B, or C. And right now, that's critical race theory, and it's just the flavor. It's the the enemy of the moment. It'll be something else tomorrow. Right now, it's CRT. And nobody knows what it is. Nobody knows what it does, but they watch cable news, they get on the internet, and that rage and anxiety machine kicks in.
It does, yeah.
And which the rage machine exists to do one thing, and that's sell advertising. Period.
Correct.
That's it. And so when people buy into this stuff, I blame people for just not being curious about the world. And not having an open mind and being sucked in by this stuff. It doesn't mean you can't trust authority, but you have to know what authority is. Mm-hmm. And talking heads on cable TV are authorities of nothing.
Nothing.
They're salespeople. They sell advertising. That's
They're
what they
actors,
do.
especially cable news. It's like Hollywood for ugly people.
But it's nothing. It's nothing. And so we've got this rejection of authority and rejection of intellectualism. That's what's going on. And just to segue into this a bit, because it's kind of the same deal with the masks and COVID and all that stuff, is this rejection of authority and people saying, hey, this is probably what you should do. In Houston, we have this we have an enormous spike from Delta, right, in COVID, right?
The Delta variant.
Med
COVID,
center's
okay.
full. Last week, like last Tuesday, I think, was the biggest single day incidence of COVID cases in Houston since the pandemic started, right? And here's what kills me about this, literally, is I go, now the same people that tell you to wear masks and social distance, the same people that you don't want to listen to, are the people that are going to take care of you when you go to the hospital. So if you don't trust those people who are telling you to wear masks, if you don't trust them, stay at home.
Yeah.
Don't go to the hospital, because it's the same people that are going to treat you. Be a man and stick by your guns. Sure. Stay at home, and because other people with like cancer and other issues like that are being released released from the hospital early to make space for your dumbass, because you don't believe in what's going on here. It's complete ridiculous. Like, it's the same people who are telling you to be safe and mask up and social distance. Those are the same people that are going to take care of you when you go to the hospital. So if you don't believe them enough to wear a mask, why do you believe them to take care of you? Mm. Anyway.
Yeah. I don't listen to politicians when they tell me to do that, but I do when the nurses tell me.
It boggles my mind.
Yeah. It is pretty mind-blowing. Yeah.
And it's the same thing with CRT, because these are essentially people who claim to be experts telling you something. It's this rejection of expertise. but the reality is that there's an existential threat to the status quo.
Yep.
Like white people are becoming a minority, and it's a real tough thing for a lot of white people.
But that was going to happen. That was going to happen. It was like, I remember reading a Time or Newsweek article in high school that said, the white population in the U.S. won't be a majority by 2030 something. So that was just going to happen. But I don't care. I don't care at all. We live in the best place, in my opinion, in the world. Right. Come here. If you can come here legally, do whatever you want to do, please.
America is still America.
Yeah, that has not changed. No, thankfully.
Yeah, we went to the Legacy Museum that's in Alabama, and it's basically a memorial to the atrocities of what happened in regards to slavery and all the people and the lynchings and that kind of stuff. And when you go through there, the way that they set it up, it's pretty somber and powerful, and it definitely gives you pause to never forget. And like you said, for us to never go down that road
never do that again. So. And that's all I want for my son, for anybody else who has kids, is just to make sure that we don't repeat those atrocities ever again, no matter what you look like, act like, your preferences. No one deserves to be treated like that anywhere and anytime. And that's why I think it's important to teach it.
All right. The next one, the national anthem, is on the law list again. Here in Texas, on September 1st, professional sports teams in Texas are now required to play the national anthem, regardless of players' opinion on the symbolism of the song. Those that do not follow the law risk losing millions of dollars in state and local tax subsidies. And they've got a picture of Colin Kaepernick.
Can we go to the next one?
No, I want to tackle this one. I want to tackle this one. Okay, here's my deal.
No tackle, no pun intended.
Man, yeah, nice. Pun intended. So,
nice.
So here's the thing about this. When was it required to wrap yourself in the flag in order to enjoy a sporting event?
Never.
You know what this reminds me of? Yeah. Okay. So I mentioned I graduated in 1990, right? I grew up during a very hot part of the Cold War. And what I remember is American newscasters and politicians just absolutely hammering the Soviet Union for some of the behaviors that they did with their citizens. Among them were all the military parades and doing their national anthem before all their games and this political indoctrination and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, it's kind of the same everywhere you go, because it feels like a very sort of a punitive thing where it's like you have to be able to, to be a good person, you have to demonstrate and prove your patriotism at every turn in this country. It's like a thing. And it's a sporting event. People tune into sports to get away from everything, man.
Exactly.
Like we don't need to indoctrinate people at sporting events, and that's what it feels like. It feels like the Soviet Union, like trying to indoctrinate. And people will push back, as I can hear it right now. Shannon, what is your problem with loving the U.S.? And I said nothing. Nothing. But I don't have to wear a lapel pin of the flag to score points. I don't have to sing the national anthem. I know the national anthem. I don't have to sing it before every damn game I go to.
It doesn't matter to me.
And I don't give a shit.
Yeah. You know who else makes you listen to the national anthem? North Korea. Like
every country does.
Yeah.
Every country does.
I don't think every country, but a lot of authoritarian type countries do.
I think they stopped doing it in international soccer.
Good.
I was watching Ted Lasso. I'm not sure if I've heard the national anthem.
Yeah, I think it's a big thing in the U.S. though, right? This proving
country.
I think it goes back to the George W. Bush. I think that there was a lot of patriotism.
Well, 9/11,
for that.
Yeah,
if you I think it's just kind of
Yep. Yeah, I will say when I was a younger child in the 90s, everybody was proud to be American, but it just seemed like 9/11. I was 14. I was the last graduating class of my school to experience it. And I remember that was the last time I felt like, man, everyone is just America first type, Donald Trump, America first, but like everybody was just so pumped and like, yeah, we need to go get these guys, and kind of, ropes it into what happened in the last couple of weeks with Afghanistan. But I don't remember a time since then, and I don't really remember a time before then. Because I was too young to really remember what was Oklahoma City, but I don't think that was a lot of national coverage or anything.
A little bit before that.
But 9/11, that was the last time I remember everybody, didn't matter what side of the aisle, everybody was like, let's go get these guys, and then look at how it's ended. But
that didn't last long, did it?
Nope.
No, and that's what's
just one news cycle.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what's so befuddling for our current situation in regards to we're finally, saying, and all presidents, are finally saying that, we need to, draw down this war. And so they do finally say, okay, we're going to, over the years, all the, Obama and Trump and everybody's kind of reduced it. And then, Biden now has the unfortunate or fortunate of taking, the last of the troops out. And, because it's like, hey, we've done that war, it's time for them to try to. And then, of course, there's the bombing yesterday. And then now Biden's like, well, we're going to get them. So it's like, okay, it's like, well, we're getting out to kind of quit, doing this. And then we're sucked right back into another.
Make up your mind.
Well, it's just number one, all of this was inevitable.
I don't know about the way it went down was inevitable, but it wasn't going to always be exactly how it looks today.
I'm sticking by my guns on this. This was inevitable. I don't care what president it was. When you exit a 2-decade-long military occupation, this is what it looks like.
Well, sure, but I'm not opposed to getting out at all.
No, I'm not opposed. I'm not. Please don't mistake me for that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it would have been bad and nasty no matter what. This was an inevitable end to this situation that began 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I could have told you how it was going to end because we have so many historical cases of this happening. Period.
It's there in that region.
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
Don't ever... What is it from The Princess Bride? Don't ever get involved in a land war in Asia.
Oh,
right?
Wow. Yeah. Is that where the...
That's
think about it. Napoleon failed. Russia failed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great Britain failed.
Yep.
The U.S. has now failed. I mean, you just can't do it.
Yeah, Russia failed. Yeah. Yeah, China's next. Let's see if you got it.
No, China wants no part of this.
You don't think so?
Absolutely not.
You don't think they want that oil and opium?
No, they want to make sure the natural gas lines are safe, and that's it.
I guarantee you they're over there as soon as
they don't like Muslims in China.
They'll build them roads.
The Ugyar population.
Maybe they'll send them there.
I mean, they don't want any part of this. They're going to secure that border, and they're going to secure that natural gas, and China is going to be way more punitive than we've ever been if it becomes a problem.
We'll see. That's an interesting
that's
take,
a prediction.
though. That's an interesting take. Yeah, I don't see China really acting like that, but it's possible, I guess.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
But I agree. Yeah, I'm not sure why they've been sewn together in the national anthem in sports.
Yeah,
but,
I don't think you should ever have to.
What it would take to sever them.
Well, because you have to understand that U.S. military pays these leagues to market.
Yeah, NFL for
There's
sure.
these big contracts, right? And it's becoming ingrained now. If you want to be a good, it's part of your individual value and self-worth as a human being in some of these contexts is wrapped up into how extreme your patriotism can be.
Yep.
And you're judged on whether you're patriotic enough. Are you doing the right behaviors and saying the right things? And it's to me, it's a little ludicrous. Like I laugh at this stuff, going, "This is all it takes." I can just put on a lapel pin and say I love the country. It's like,
No, you're cool.
well, yeah. I think Benjamin Franklin said that patriotism was the last refuge of scoundrels.
Yeah.
And so I think,
wow.
I think of all these companies that wrap themselves in the flag and say, "Hey, buy from us because we have a U.S. flag out in front of our business." Like that's supposed to make it great.
They're the same companies that put pride flags out too. It's all about money. They're just trying to get market share. That's it.
I mean, this is the whole idea of virtue signaling,
Yep,
right?
100%.
We just say we're good enough.
Yep. Hey, look.
We love our country, and if you're
At
with
least
us,
for
you love it
June.
too, and you better love it as much as we do. And I just reject that stuff just because I want to tell people, like, don't tell me. I don't need you to validate how I feel about things.
Nope. I like you.
Awesome. Yeah,
We
this is
aim to
definitely
please
some,
here on the
some
show,
good
713,
conversation.
so.
I'm loving
Yeah.
it. But we've got more.
Yeah.
So here's another hard hitting one. Okay, it's alcohol to go. The pandemic brought about the alcohol to go bill as a lifeline for restaurants and will now become a permanent offering in Texas. It allows beer, wine, and cocktails to be included in delivery and pickup orders from your local, I guess, Chipotle or wherever.
Yeah. So what? I guess they weren't open. So you can so those daiquiri places are legitimate, or they weren't legitimate because they've been around since before then.
I think it was in regards to if I wanted to get an alcoholic drink from, let's say, I don't know, Chimichangas, Gringos, one of my favorite places. If we're looking for sponsors,
Cadillac Margarita.
if you wanted to add a margarita onto that, they couldn't deliver it to you. Now this bill allows you to get a top shelf margarita delivered to you.
But could you get it on so they said to go, so I could pick it up and take it with me too?
I don't know on that. I think it was mostly based on like Uber Eats. Like you couldn't get it, delivered in that way because it was
because this is all TABC, and I think some of it has to do whether it's a sealed container.
Yeah,
because the law really is about open containers.
That's
and I think that if it's a sealed container, like where you can get things like crowlers and growlers delivered now, for the beer aficionados listening. I think with margaritas, as long as it was sealed, you could do it.
That's what I thought.
Even before the pandemic, I think you could take
it
out. But I never took advantage of that.
Me neither.
But I know there are some pizza places now that I know they're like, we'll deliver pizza and beer.
Yeah.
And so on.
Torchy's will bring you a gallon of margarita.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
Wow. Yes,
I think it just makes us more like Louisiana.
Yeah, that's what I felt like. It was just like a natural thing.
I mean, they've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
I mean,
just kind of pushed it forward, I guess.
Right.
Well, they actually have really lax open container laws because you can actually walk down the street with an open container in Louisiana.
Yep. You can't even do that in Nevada, and you can pretty much do everything there.
That's right.
So I think we're kind of getting close on time, but I do want to read out these last three. Street racing.
Ooh.
Street racing. Seizures of vehicles involved in street racing will now be allowed.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's just like narcotics. They seize those and don't give them back. But I guess now, your souped up car. So I don't know if Vin Diesel is looking for that last installment narrative, but come to Texas. We'd love to do a show around that.
What is that, like the 12th or 13th movie now?
I think he's done that, but I think he's got one more in the can. I think he's
going to pass it to John Cena next, is what I hear.
Oh, are you being funny or for real?
No, I've heard for real.
Oh,
that guy deserves a chance.
That's
He does.
just silly. No,
He's a nice guy.
and then we've got we've got two more. The felony sex crimes So Texas is the first state in the country to make buying sex from an adult a felony.
Oh.
So the new law expands to definitions of human trafficking, including those who recruit victims from treatment centers that house homeless or foster children and minors.
And that's big here in Houston. So
Unfortunately,
I'm happy to hear
Yeah,
that.
I appreciate the
Yeah.
intent behind that. Let's see how it actually plays out.
And in practice, right?
Yeah, definitely. And then last but not least, vaccine passports. That's right. Quote unquote, vaccine passports are now outlawed in Texas after Governor Greg Abbott signed Senate Bill 968 into law. Businesses that require customers to prove their vaccination status could risk losing their licenses, operating permits, or state contracts.
Yeah, again, I think that one is going to play out a bit because DeSantis did that in Florida, and the cruise lines pushed back.
Yeah.
And I think that the Supreme Court of Florida said, yeah, the cruise lines can actually require that as a private business.
Yeah, and this is what I don't like. I don't like it when the government tries to tell a private business how to run their business or what they can and can't do.
No, I think Republicans are generally against that, except when they're not.
When they're not. When it helps them. Yeah, and I'm just like that in general. But that's what I don't like. Like, I see the feeling behind it and why you would do that, but I don't think you should do that. The government at any level should not tell me what I can and can't do for my business. That's my opinion. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's a very libertarian kind of thing. But
it is.
But it's also realpolitik, which is to say you can have a big philosophy about things, but there are always exceptions to any big philosophy about things.
However, when it's my son, he needs the job. But when it's your son, it's nepotism.
That's correct.
All right.
Yep.
So those are the laws that are going into effect September 1st.
All right, brave new world.
Just
September 1.
Just a few days away.
The dystopia is here.
Who knows what it'll lead to? It's been a pretty cantankerous Texas legislative session.
At least they got something done.
Yeah, at least they did come back and finally decide to have a quorum and do all that stuff. So.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
And then thankfully we only have to do this every 2 years or something. So that's kind of nice about Texas. Yeah,
I think the key word there is thankfully.
All right. But continuing with the thanks, I want to thank Wes Andrews and I want to thank Shannon Raspberry for stopping by and talking about these issues. And hopefully they made you think. If you've got any topics that you would like to share, go ahead and drop them in the comments section there. And we'd love to hear from you and other topics. And we've been having a good time and hopefully these laws help some people and no one gets hurt. That's kind of the idea, right?
Yeah, it's always like you can read it on the paper, but how it's implemented that's what matters.
Yeah, and like you said, Shannon, it's going to be litigated for.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of things that will
just because somebody says something or passes a law or that's not where it ends.
Yeah, they'll either find a loophole or they'll go to litigation. Like it's just, I mean, the schools already did that with the mask stuff. They basically can't require it, but they made it a part of their dress code, which that doesn't cover. So now you have to wear one as part of your dress code at school, but you can't mandate them like you have to wear it without that. So that was the loophole, was they were like, oh, no, it's part of the dress code now.
That is one way to do it, I guess. But, all righty.
Cool. Oh, I was going to say, also find us on Twitter at the show.
Oh, nice.
713.
Yes, at the show 713, correct.
Yeah, and let us know how these go.
Yeah, and also, on YouTube at the show 713 and where you get podcasts.
Yeah, do you have a Twitter? Or
I'm a Luddite, so I don't have a Twitter. I don't have Facebook. I am the cranky old man that's not quite old, but cranky enough to have a porch and a rocking chair.
Oh, nice.
So I was a Facebook user, and then it just became a wasteland of negativity and vitriol, and so I just exited that platform and haven't missed it for a second.
That's pretty much every form of social media. It's just a wasteland for negativity.
But listeners, don't let me stop that.
Yeah,
stop
please, by all means.
Thanks.
Engage
for
with
those
us.
people who are about to click.
Just because it's not right for me doesn't mean it's not right for you.
Yeah, right, exactly. Make your own choices.
All right. Talk soon.